After years of practicing, you still have problems with your speed picking technique? Well, maybe you do this one mistake that most of the people are doing when it comes to speed picking. Hey Guitar Champion, what's going on? Justin Humbach here, back from my practice cave, and welcome to today's video where we are going to take a deeper look at the most common mistake while doing speed picking. Here we go. In today's video we're going to talk a little bit about movement in our right hand. And it's not a typical, okay, check this lick and practice this lick to get better here and here and here video. We are going to talk about mechanics, and especially about one movement, one arm mechanic that is the common typical mistake that a lot of people are doing out there who are struggling with their right hand speed picking technique. Please keep in mind that for today's tips, the most important thing is that you will be patient, dedicated, and that you're doing today's tips, to quote Al Joseph, every damn day. Alright, but before we begin with today's videos, I have a lick for you, an extreme picking lick for all the people who are watching this video and maybe don't have the trouble or the problems that I'm going to point out here in this video. I have a lick for you as well, so let's check out the lick and stick to the end to see the tabs for the licks and to get a deeper explanation of that lick. Alright, so a short lick of the week, and then we're going to talk a little bit about speed picking technique. Yeah, here we go. Every owner of my online course, The Then of Speed Picking, has the opportunity to send me video files or stuff from them playing to, for me, analyze their picking technique. And one of the problems that most of the people have is in their musculoskeletal system of the right arm. What I mean by that is that the movement comes from the arm and not from the wrist. So, but how can we figure out if we are an arm player or if we are a wrist player? And how can we transform from arm player to wrist player? Okay, one of the things that I love to do with people that comes into my coaching sessions is that I test them if they can do this movement here. Particularly this movement without moving the arm, and this is the important thing, because some people tend to do this movement but together with the arm. They can't do this movement alone with an arm that is fixed. They're always moving the arm all along. When I'm going down, the arm goes down as well, or when I'm going up, the arm goes up as well. So this is one of the first indicators that you have a wrong movement coming from your arm and not from the wrist, because you aren't able to only move your wrist individually and independent from your arm. You can do this wrist movement here, or the supination and pronation, but this movement here, this is the one that we need for speed picking, as I have clearly mentioned in my ultimate guide for speed picking. So this is one of the first things that I recommend. The cool thing here again is that we can practice this movement even without the guitar. So when we are sitting on our PC or when we are waiting or something or stuff like that, we can always try to make this movement and try to get used to this movement and practice this movement. This maybe sounds dumb in the first place, and there are some people who can do this movement here but still have problem with the picking technique. We are going to that later on. And then there are people who can't do this movement. If you can't do this movement, this is not bad at all, because I mean, come on, there are some movements that some people can do better than or easier than other people. This is totally normal. This is human. It comes from genetic, or maybe some of the people are used to this movement because of some activity they are doing or whatnot. It's really similar, for example, with this movement here. You know, the Spock, doing the Spock with both fingers. I had a lot of problems doing this with the left hand. With the right hand, no problem. I'm right-handed, so this is absolutely no problem for me. But for the left hand, a few years ago, or 10 years ago, this was a big problem. But how did I fix this? I wanted to do this movement because I thought, man, I maybe need this kind of finger independency for guitar playing. So yeah, back in the day I was working in a job where I have a lot of free time on my hand, and I could do all those exercises with my fingers without the guitar. And one of them was to train myself to make this movement here. So, and at first I pushed my fingers outside, really dumb, really doing it like this to get used to the movement, to get the muscle connectivity between my brain and my hand, to really feel, okay, what kind of muscles do I need to move to get those fingers crossed. And then after a while I could do this with both fingers a little bit more, a little bit easier, and after a while of practicing I have no problems to do this with both hands. So coming back to the right hand, we can do this as well with, again, a lot of focus, with a lot of patience, and of course doing it every damn day. So we can take our arm like this, like when we are holding a plectrum, or you can even do it with holding the plectrum. And then first you can try to fix your arm and then only do this kind of movement here. And then the more you get used to it, do it really slowly and really focus on this kind of movement. And then the more and more you get used to it, you can let go your left hand and you can try it really slowly with a lot of focus, a lot of patience, but only doing it coming from the wrist and not having the arm supporting the movement. When you can do this movement, okay, we can continue. We can continue to going to our string. Now, the next test or the next idea is to always try to have a mirror in front of you, or try to record yourself with your phone, so you can analyze if there's something moving here on the right arm that shouldn't be moving. For example, when I do speed picking, and here now, this is something where I have to correct myself from the ultimate speed picking guide a little bit. It doesn't depend on the tempo. It is in every tempo. When I speed pick, you should only see movement here in the wrist. The movement that is coming here from here is only the muscle that activates the wrist movement. Everything else is fixed, and everything else is super relaxed and nearly moving at all. Now, the faster I get, the more muscles right now, because I am not used to, I have to train myself a little bit more. The more muscles are supporting my right arm. Please check out the Ultimate Guide for Speed Picking. I'm talking a little bit about muscle support there, a little bit more in detail. But still, even if I'm going faster, even if I have my other muscles supporting my arm, the movement comes just from the wrist. Everything here is really small. There's nothing moving here at all. So if you record yourself with a phone, for example, and you see some sort of movement here like this one here, it's not much, but it's an indicator for that you are not using only the wrist, but that you have your arm as a support. And this is not good, because when we are using our arm as a support, yeah, we have a lot of bigger movement, we have more muscles that get activated and not really supporting. This is a problem. This is a problem for our stamina, this is a problem for our independency, for our precision, for our speed. So analyze yourself and really check if there's something moving alongside the wrist. For example, like this here. You see here way too much movement in this kind of area. You see my arm bouncing off, it's not coming from the wrist, my arm is supporting. This is not good. You want it like this. But what can we do when we're realizing, oh, there's more that is moving than it should be? Well, here is something that I once called in a video regressive practicing for progressive results. And this means go in a really slow tempo where we have control. Control is the key here now. We need to get to that tempo where we can control, let's say for example, 4 strokes, where we really know, okay, when I can do in this tempo 4 strokes, I can focus on my wrist here, and I really can focus that my arm is not moving, but only the wrist is moving. So, for example, I don't know, one student of mine could do it on 80 BPM 8 notes. really check, okay, is there something moving here? Do I have the control to only move by the wrist? And if you have found that tempo, you can build up more and more this tempo. The cool thing about regressive practicing for progressive results is that getting the muscle activated and having the muscle memory and the muscle connection is going a little bit faster than comparing it to the first time practicing picking after, I would say, playing guitar for 2 months or something like that. So if you have experience in picking, but you get the awareness of, or you have a barrier right now and you get the awareness of, I have practiced my speed picking wrong with the wrong technique, then I can guarantee to you that it's going faster and smoother to get to a certain level and certain tempo back again, because you have already gained really important experience in your right arm. You will see that the results come quicker and quicker as long as you are focused, dedicated, patient, and do it every damn day. If movement needs to be learned, it will cost time. And here again, if you only have 5 minutes or 10 minutes for guitar practicing a day and if you want to work on your speed picking, then do this every day. Really take your slow tempo, take like 80 BPM, 8 notes, and really see, can I do 4 strokes without moving the arm like I used to do it, but only focusing on my wrist and only really feeling, okay, I can do the wrist movement. And then you can go into 2 ways, like somebody who is training for a marathon. You can increase the tempo but keep the distance, for example going to 100 BPM, 110 BPM, 120 BPM, or you could keep the tempo and increase the distance. For example, you stay with 80 BPM but going from 4 strokes to 8 strokes to 16 strokes to 2 bars, 4 bars, and all that kind of stuff. So try to have a variation in your practice routine. This is something that I always recommend. For example, do one day I would say the longer distance, but keeping it in the same tempo. And then the next day you do decrease the distance again, doing 4 strokes or 8 strokes, but increase the tempo and have some variations here and there. Alright, I would say those are my 2 main tips and experience that I gained in the last couple of months when it comes to transform your picking from arm movement to wrist movement. Alright, I hope this video and those 2 tips could help your playing. And now for the hardcore players of you, we are going to the extreme lick of the week. Here we go. Alright, the lick slow goes like this. We are in the key of E Phrygian dominant, and we're starting off with the Paul Gilbert lick, but with the Phrygian dominant shape, so 12, 13, 16, 12 on the A string, this is the 7th string by the way, 16, 13, 12 again. And then we are just playing ascending the complete 3 note per string scale, which is not easy because we have to do the 2-way pick slanting change on every string. So we're starting upwards, down, up, down, up, down. So the first bar again. Now we're going from 16 note triplets to 60 notes, playing this idea with the open E string as a little pedal note. Here we are using the E Phrygian dominant scale horizontally on only the E string, playing 19, 17, 16, 17, 16, 13, or with the E string in between or after every 3 notes, then going back to the first phrase, and then 20, 19, 17. Now we are doing the so-called Pepsi lick, as I like to call it, in the Den of Speed Picking because of Winnie Moore, but in the E Phrygian dominant scale. starting off with this shape. Oh, we are here only playing on the E and on the B string. Sorry, didn't mention that. And we have 3 notes per string, so we have to change the pick slant on every string. So we again have up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, we are starting off here. 19, 17, 16, going to the B string where we're playing 18, 17, 15. The E string where we're playing 17, 16, 13. I'm playing 17, 15, 13 on the B string. And then on the E string again 16, 13, 12. B string 15, 13, 12. Then 13, 12, 10 on the E string. 13, 12, 10 on the B string. Sorry. Again, bar number 3. Now we're going to the last bar. Here we have the same kind of idea as in bar number 1, but reversing everything. So we're starting with the reversed polyglot lick. Here in this case, in this shape here. Here in this case, on this shape here. 12, 10, 8, 12, 8, 10. And then we're playing descending the E Phrygian dominant scale starting on the E string. Resolving to A. And here again, upward, downward pick slanting, upward, downward, upward, downward. And finishing it.